started? Yeah, it is started. I'm really sorry. But let me summarize. So we just created a load balancer. I mean, we are planning to create a load balancer. So in order to create a load balancer, we need to have a couple of servers. So as part of this demo, we are creating two servers. One is a web server 1 and web server 2. And uh, the end users will be keep on eating the load balancer. So the load balancer will intent route the traffic to necessary servers which are attached to it. Right. So as part of this, I have created one web server where which is referring as a Linux machine 1. And now I'm creating another uh, another web server. So how I'm creating another web server? I'm just creating a image out of this web server so that I don't have to reinstall anything, right? So uh, okay, so I've already extracted a image. How to extract an image? I'll just select the EC2 instance. I'll just click on actions, image and template, create image. Right. So just give a image name and just click on create option, create image option. I've already done it. So that is there in my AMI. See, so there are two AMI. So let me try to delete this one because we don't need it. Register AMI. Okay, so we have this AMI and we can give as web server. Okay, so now how to create another instance out of it. So I'm into, I've just selected an image and clicking on actions. Now, sorry, I should get into easy to code, right? Sorry. Now let me click on launch instance and let's do web server 2 and click on my AMI and you can see this is a web server image, right? So this is what we have saved. Now let me just validate the instance type and everything. And now let me keep key underscore NV because we just saved in, we are doing our work in North Virginia region and accordingly we have created a key pair. And let me select the existing one. What is the one? 20. So we can also just compare what are all the things, what are the ports which we have enabled. Yeah, 20, 22 and 80. So we are good. Now let me try to launch a instance. Now by launching this instance, I don't have to install anything. Automatically, Apache Tomcat as installed, and the same whatever the work which we have done, we can see that. So just to validate, so let us log into that machine as well and verify. So let us try to wait the instance state comes to a running state. Okay. Now let me open a putty. Let me go to news. So let me paste the public IP of it and let me click on browse and we select the PPK file. And let me access the certificate and the user default username will be EC2 user. Now, if I just go and paste it here, I should see the same page of Linux machine 1 only because I've just extracted the image out of this machine, so it is also printing Linux machine 1. But let me edit that. So let me log in as a root user and let me get into that folder where www.html and let's see we have the index.html vi space index.html. So press I to insert the content and just Linux machine, just rename to Linux machine 2 so that we can identify which machine is working what. So just refresh it, you'll be able to see, which means web server is printing Linux machine 1, which means whatever we have printed, just consider this as your official website, and the second server is printing as Linux machine 2. This will be your customized website. Now, this part is done. Now, I'll have to create a load balancer, right? So, how to create a load balancer? Now, just on the EC2 dashboard, this is the EC2 dashboard. Come down and click on load balancer. Okay. So, in this section, you will see a list. If you have already created some load balancer, it will show here. As we are creating for the first time, click on create load balancer. As I have mentioned, so there will be 4 types of load balancer. One is application load balancer, network load balancer. We are covering classic application and network load balancer. So gateway we are not covering, but we will see if I find some use cases. Let me also bring in gateway load balancer also. And now it is saying, see, there is something called as classic load balancer. Here also they have mentioned it's the previous generation. I'm not sure when they are going to decommission this one, but still we have this option. Let us learn this one because this is the first load balancer they have introduced. See, I've just selected a classic load balancer and I'm clicking a option called create. Here I should give a load balancer name. So I'll just give classic load balancer classic LB. And do not worry about your VPC. Going forward, we'll be creating our own VPC and we'll be selecting it. And here you have some options. By default, it does create internal load balancer. Okay. What do you mean by, sorry, by default, it does create, internet load balancer. What do you mean by internal and internet load balancer? So internal load balancer refers which should be within your VPC or which is private. So whatever the load balancer which we are creating, only your organization employees or whoever who are working, only within the organization they'll be able to access this particular load balancer. But if you really want to publish this particular URL, then we must create our load balancer as internet facing. Internet facing in a sense, for example, google.com is the internet facing load balancer. But if your application is hosted in your organization, so there will be something called as intranet, right? So those things will be maintained as internal load balancer. So in our case, we are not making use of any virtual private cloud as per our requirement. So we are just hosting that our application publicly, so everyone should access it. So hence I'm creating the internet facing load balancer, so that I'm not clicking on internal load balancer. If you create it, then it will become an internal one. So I'm not creating an internal because this load balancer should access by all, right? So that's the reason I've just created a internet facing load balancer. And this is the load balancer protocol. Of course, if you are, there are 2 types of, requests it can come, right? So we will discuss that when we discuss about application load balancer. So your request may be HTTP or HTTPS or TCP. So there are many protocols. That even if you are receiving some data from network devices, then it all matters about a protocol. For us, it is plain and simple. We are accepting the request over the port 80 with the help of HTTP protocol. Now, let us click on security group. So, we are supposed to select the security group. Security groups, in a sense, what is the security group we created? It's a 20, right? 20 or 21. Let me just, double check what security group we have created. So whatever the security group we have created on the machine, the same security group should be allocated here also for the load balancer. So that load balancer knows whatever the ports which have enabled on the particular machine. So that because see, instead of hitting a particular machine, we are hitting a load balancer, which means whatever the ports which are allowed, the same ports needs to be allowed on the load balancer also. So that's the reason. So we are supposed to choose the same security group. So here we can see it's a 20. So let me select the same security group here also. And for now, just forget about the security settings. This is very much important. We need to configure health check. That is what I was saying. This particular load balancer will be keep on talking to these machines. Whatever the machines which we are attaching to load balancer will be, on particular interval, which will be keep on pinging and ask, to check the health of this particular server. How exactly it does? Here we mentioned. Right? So see here the pinging protocol will be HTTP and the requests and responses are transferring over the port 80 and the ping part will be index.html. If you have some other page, you can always give it here. See, this is the index.html which will be referring here, whatever we have created, right? So here, if you have some other, if you want to create some other page also, you can go ahead and create it, and you can give that HTML page here. And what is the response timeout? So response timeout in the sense, if this machine is not reachable, every time it expects a response for every 5 seconds, right? For every whenever we hit a request, and this request will go to this, for example, let's consider this request is going to web server 1. Load balancer expects a response from this server on every 5 seconds. This can be customized also, but the minimum value will be about 2 and below 60. Let us try to give 2. What exactly it expects? Response timeout must be an integer between 2 and 60. So the minimum response timeout should be greater than 2 seconds and it should be less than 60 seconds. So let me give 2. And what is the time interval? What is the time interval in the sense? This particular load balancer, right, are often like for how much of like for each time. Let's say if this load balancer has to communicate to this particular web server, if I just say 5 seconds, then on particular every 5 seconds, this load balancer will be keep on hitting the machines, web server 1 and web server 2, and it does check for the health check. And we have something called as unhealthy threshold. For example, if this machine is not working, if server is in stop status, and this load balancer will be keep on pinging this machine. And if this, as I mentioned, every 5 seconds it will keep on, it will be pinging this machine. All right, and if it has to return, if it has to state as unhealthy, which means we have something called as healthy. If I consider this machine as a healthy machine, then it should result minimum twice. If I just select 2 here, it does ping twice this machine. And if this machine is looking good, if this index.html file, whatever we have mentioned here on this particular instance, which is reachable on hitting of 2 requests, it will just say this server is healthy. And for example, if whenever load balancer hits this particular web server and this web server states saying that if it is not working, then it does report as unhealthy for every 2 times, for every 2 intervals, we can say, right? So then what is our part? I'm creating a load balancer and I've defined some rules here, and afterwards I need to attach this particular server on load balancer, right? So let me select both. I'm selecting both the servers. So I'm attaching both web server 1 and web server 2 on load balancer. Now let me click on that. So let us not worry about that. We will learn them later and review on create. So here you can see whatever the load balancer configuration, right? And click on create. Now my load balancer got created, right? And just wait for a status. Let it come to provisioning some active. Now we should not be, relying on, hitting these servers, individually. Instead, there is something called as DNS name for this load balancer. We'll just copy this one, right? We'll just copy this one and let us try to hit latest provisioning state. Okay, and here you can see that whatever the instances which we have registered, which we have attached to this one, it should come to in service status. So as of now, it is still showing out of service. It may take some time. So what it is saying, instance registration is still in progress, which means we just attach these two instances to our load balancer, right? So these two instances we have created and we are attaching these to our load balancer, and the registration process still it is happening. Now I can see it is in service. All the two instances are in service, and listeners, we will learn that when we learn application load balancer for now, and these are the health states condition which we have given. If you want, you can also click on edit and you can edit these things. Now all the two instances which have registered or which have attached to these load balancer, right? These are all in service status. Now I can hit this URL. I think it may take some time. Can anybody try this one? Let me put it in a chat.
Is it because of HTTPS?
No, it is HTTP only.
Okay.
Can anyone try?
Yeah,
It
that
works
works
for
for
me.
me.
Sorry.
It works for me. Hitting second server.
Okay, just refresh.
Yeah,
It
for
will
me
show
also it's coming.
for you coming. Okay,
Yeah, 2, 1, it's coming one by one. Yeah.
correct, right? So that is how the maybe some browser issue. Let me open Firefox. No, maybe some browser issue. Frequently has to get it, but if your guys are getting, I know I'm happy.
I
So
see members confirm it is working.
okay, fine then.
Okay,
So
because
basically, what will happen upon click on, let's say if Pranay is hitting this URL, then it will route the traffic to first machine. If Ramesh is hitting this traffic, then it will route that request to second server. So this is how the distribution of the traffic will happen. Right? Okay, Kavita confirmed. Pranay is also confirmed. All right. Somebody is waiting.
Naveen, I have one question. So we are hitting DNS server name, right? Can we customize this DNS server name?
Exactly. I'll come to that. whatever the DNS name of this particular load balancer, this is not no, this is not a catchy word, right? And user definitely even will not show any interest in hitting this particular domain, right? So for that, we have something called as Route 53. We will be learning that with the help of Route 53, we will try to get a very good domain in the market. For example, we will say ICMC.in. So instead of hitting this load balancer, so we will try to hit this domain called ICMC.in. Just this ICMC.in will resolve to this particular load balancer, and this load balancer will route the traffic to any of these machines. We will be learning that, we'll be completely, we'll purchase a new domain and we'll try to develop some websites and we'll hit icmc.in and that should, route to, that should resolve this particular load balancer, and that load balancer in turn distributes the traffic to any of these servers. Okay. Okay, we know that. Okay. Okay, Bharat.
Yes, sure. Thank you.
Any questions here, like what is the load balancer? Why do we need a load balancer?
Yeah,
Naveen, I
Where
have
we
a
can
query over here.
one small little confusion actually.
Yes.
Unhealthy threshold and healthy threshold. Can you tell me once again?
Sure.
Yeah.
See, whatever the instances which we are creating, right? It should show any of these states called healthy or unhealthy. Okay. And
Yeah.
here I'll mention for every 5 seconds, you try to hit this particular server. Okay. Due to some reasons, on first hit, let's say on the first hit, if this server is not responding, don't consider the responses which is happening for a first hit. Don't consider it is not working and you report it as a unhealthy. Instead, do the same step for 3 to 4 times. For example, if I mention 4 here, it should consistently check for 4 times, and within these 4 times, if this is not working, then only it shows unhealthy.
Yeah, we can call it as like retry.
Correct.
Okay.
And just because it is working and it is working for a first time, and probably after first time, probably second or third time, those requests are getting failed here. Just because you hit for a first time and it is don't certify that this server is working, and don't say it is like a healthy. Try to
Yeah.
do the same for 5 times, and
Yeah.
you constantly receiving a response. You just mentioned that as a healthy server.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Uh,
In order to deploy one application, you mentioned like launch machine one. Why do we need to use two servers? I mean, which time we need to use this load balancer?
I didn't quite get your question, Kavita.
I mean, we have created two server and deploy one application, right? So,
Mhm.
uh, I mean, when do we need to go for this load balancer approach? Can you give some examples so that?
Okay. Let's say, I think I've just explained it, but let me recall it once again. For example, you're trying to hit google.com. Okay. So every day we does it. And
Uh,
this google.com is maintaining web server called web server 1. This
hmm,
Google implementation is there. Okay. So if you
hmm,
just this particular server is capable to handle your request. The
hmm,
reason of using this web server is the reason of having a load balancer instead of using this particular web server, because if something goes wrong with this particular server, then definitely you will not get any response for you, right, from this server.
Hmm.
Probably it might be shut down or due to some system crash, whatever the reason. If this machine is not working, if this is not in a running condition, whatever the request which you are sending, this will not be served.
Hmm.
Right? In order to maintain high availability and zero tolerance, and in order to achieve that, we will instead of routing this particular all the requests to a one machine, let us try to have multiple machines.
Okay.
So that if something goes wrong with this machine, the same request can be served by the second machine.
For example, if we rarely hit that, for example, this google.com, like everyday users will be using, right? For example, if we not use much some websites, right? So in that case, we are not supposed to go for the load balancer.
I still prefer to go ahead, even if you have one web server, for example, let's say you have only one server and it is rarely used. So
Correct.
you can directly hit the EC2 instance, but still I would suggest create a load balancer and attach the single instance to this load balancer.
Okay.
Because we never know in future if you need it, if traffics are getting in more, then we can spin up additional instance and we can attach to the existing load balancer.
Okay. Got it.
It is possible directly, you can hit directly, but my recommendation is to use a load balancer and attach a single instance for now. And later, if you come across more traffic, you can always increase the instances and you can attach to the same load balancer which I already created.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
Okay.
Naveen, I have a query over here.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is like, can you shift the screen?
Mm-hmm.
See here, web server 1 and web server 2 both will be identical devices, right? Means the same configuration for both the devices,
Correct.
except the IP. So just imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, the load balancer thing, just imagine this one as ICMC.
Mm-hmm.
And web server 1 is a thing like, the place where we have stored all the videos or some stuff regarding this course. Just imagine all the users are trying to hit that web server 1. If the load becomes more, then the load balancer will change the activate that web server 2. That's it, right?
It is not that all the traffic will straight away will go to web server. It is the algorithm as implemented within the load balancer. We don't have any control on this particular request should go to web server 1 or web server 2. But as I mentioned, we can control the traffic by mentioning the percentage. If I say 50% of the traffic should go here and another 50% of the traffic should get into a second machine, it is possible. Or we can ask customers like 20% of the traffic should go to second server.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? I think I thought of covering another server, but
where
let
we
us
need
take.
to, in case if you want to accommodate firewall, where we need to put this firewall at the load balance level or EC2 instance level, where can we accommodate firewall setup?
Typically, as I mentioned, so these firewall things we maintain them in the EC2 instance, right? For example, we created an instance with the help of security group, correct?
Yes.
Created a security group on the EC2 instance as well as on the load balancer level.
Yes, same security group. Yeah, we configured. Yeah.
We configured it. So in a real time, we will be doing the same thing. We'll be creating a security group for instances. Also, we'll be creating a security group for our load balancers. And the same firewall settings to be configured on the load balancer The reason why we need to maintain a similar setup on load balancer and instance, load balancer is a front face. It just has to accept the request from the end user. And internally, the same ports and whatever we configure it has to be, this will be kind of a outbound rule, which will be to our EC2 instance, but on the EC2 instance, which will be the inbound rule, which should be configured on the load balancer.
Okay, yeah.
Navin, you are talking about cluster,
Yes.
right? Can you tell that one again?
Cluster. See, okay.
Yeah.
If you want to cluster is nothing but to have a high availability, we create a cluster. Cluster is nothing but again it's a group of instances which are which will be we can consider them as a cluster, so that if something goes wrong with this one machine, again the available servers within the cluster will take care and which will serve the request. It's a cluster in the sense it's a collection of servers. Can say.
Okay.
And we can route the traffic to the cluster of instances also, or we can individually will go ahead and configure each server. So the servers also we will discuss them kind of AZs. Will not create all the instances in a single AZ. So if we have, so we'll have with the 3 AZs, right? So we'll be creating each instances on a different availability zones, so that if something goes wrong with one availability zone, then the remaining instances which we have in another availability zone will be taken care. We will do that in tomorrow's session. We will just create them in multiple AZs, and we will see.
And you said it's a traditional and old model, right? Why we are not using this one, and what changes has been made for new load balancer types?
Basically, the first drawback of I think okay we will start off discussing tomorrow, but let me give a little knowledge on this. So basically, classic load balancers drawback is that whatever the traffic which comes here, which will uniformly distribute.
Okay.
The traffic gets uniformly distributed. For example, here we have 2 servers. If 10 requests are coming in, 5 requests will go here, and another 5 requests will go here. And I can't put any conditions. Secondly, conditions in the sense, see, it is not good. So, okay, for example, if I just maintain google.com, it will come here, right? And if I say google.com/drive, if I just mention that, there will be another page will be coming in, correct? Or if I just do Gmail, I should be able to get a Gmail page, right? So these kind of conditions or paths can be managed with the help of network load balancer and application load balancer. These facilities are not there in the classic load balancer. Right?
Oh, God.
It does uniformly distribute the traffic to the available server, but we can't put any conditions. We can't conditionally route the traffic to a particular server. So that can be achieved with the help of application and network load balancer. So which means what I can say, I'll just put this URL here. I'll just put this URL. I'll just say whenever the request comes with this, just route this traffic to this particular server. This can be done. Or whenever some other request comes with this particular thing, then I can route this particular request to this server, so that all individual we are distributing the traffic to a necessary server. So we don't have any mediator in between. So we don't have to go step by step. I should go to google.com, then I should go to Gmail. No. So instead, if user give this particular URL, so this request will be served by a particular machine. We will see that, Kishore. we'll have
Yeah,
we'll
got it.
create multiple pages and we will do a demo tomorrow.
Sure, sure. Yeah, thank you.
Sir, one last question. Hello?
Yes, sorry. Yes, sorry.
Sir, we are creating one web server and we are adding that to Amazon machine image, right? And instead of creating one more server, if I give that the number of instances 10, will it create like replica of the first server, like 10 same servers?
Exactly, right? Sorry, that is what when you just create an instance, here you have an option. If you just give 10 or 20, 50 or 100, whatever the number you give, those many servers get created at once with the configuration which you have selected.
Okay, I mean like will I can do that by creating number of instances. I mean without adding to that image, can I create same web servers with that instance? I mean this image which I'm adding, it helps like whenever I want, I can get the same configuration web server whenever I want, right?
Correct.
Hello.
Correct.
I mean without adding to that image, can I if I just type
Yes.
10 instance I need, will it
You
create
can
with same configuration?
okay. I probably am mistaken. So let me rephrase your question. You're saying, see, we have an image. With the help of the image, we created a machine, and we can create 100 machine also. But if I don't want to have this, if you don't want to make use of this image, if you just want to create 100 machines at a time, can you create? Was that your question?
Yes, yes.
You can create, right? Yeah, it is possible. Just just
Uh,
even name or whatever the configuration you select, just increase the count, or if you want 20, just put a 20 and click on launch instances. It is possible. But whatever, since you're not selecting the image which we have saved, you're not using the customized image, you're just going with a standard image which is offered by Amazon, then you'll not get whatever the work which we have done.
because this load balancer work is to share the load. I mean, traffic is more, no? It will share simply to another service. Because Google.com,
Mhm.
like to maintain load
But
balance. Hello?
yes, I
Hello? Uh, because the work of load balancer is to share, I mean, traffic, more users is there. It will share to, I mean, it will create percentage and it will share the load.
correct. See, now it has come. See,
So,
let's say consider this is a google.com. And I am also using, Pranay also using, Sai is also using, right? So if all are hitting the same, if all the requests are coming into same server, then definitely performance will go down, right, of a particular application. So that's the reason we are creating a load balancer, and we are hitting a load balancer. See, probably this request is going to one, and this request is coming to second server. So this is how the traffic distribution will happen. See, I'm just pressing here. It is considered as one request, and this is the second request. If you hit from your computer, then that is also considered as another request, and accordingly, you are hitting this load balancer. Right, you are hitting this load balancer, and load balancer is routing the traffic to necessary servers here.
But Sai, one thing you keep in mind, okay, sorry to interrupt you. One thing you keep in mind, so you can't simply go and create a number of instances because everything is cost. Even this web server is also going to cost you. EC2 instance cost you, but the difference EC2 instance cost is different. Web server instance cost is different because you're going to become a cloud consultant. You have to give the pricing and you have to suggest the customer how to reduce the total cost of ownership. So you need to simply you can't add the instances. This is all the hardware. Okay, you have to understand the concept.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you can
yes.
create it, but please make sure while creation, because at the end of the month, definitely you are supposed to pay a lot of money, right?
Yeah, sir, I understand.
Okay. Any other questions for today?
Per region, how many load balancers we can select? Are there any limit to select to deploy this
Load
load
balancer,
balancer
no,
per region?
for load balancer, I don't think we have a restriction. We
Okay.
can create a number.
Okay.
Yes. Now my work is done. Now I'll have to delete the load balancer. How to delete the load balancer? So just click on load balancer, click on actions, and delete. Now load balancer also will go deleted. Now I have attached two servers, right? Those two servers also I should delete. Just select them, come to instances, terminate. Now tell me if you have any other questions. We can.
Naveen, I have out of the box questions, like, two questions I have. The first thing is like, if I have created this AWS account with some adjusting like wrong configurations. If I want to delete this account and create one more, can I do that?
You can create a number of no accounts, provided you need to have those many debit cards or credit cards, I think. For each
Okay, one
account,
credit card I have
yep,
used for this, so
okay,
I can't
probably
use the same credit card. Yep.
that I'm not sure actually. But you should. I think no. I think for account, it allows only one credit card or one debit card. At least a card.
Right,
At least
correct.
with
So
that,
you have to have one.
yeah.
Okay, only one instance is allowed for one card. If
No, no,
I
not like
delete the account,
no, no. You can create a number of instances. I think it's at the month end you have to pay the money. That's it.
no, no, Ramesh. The question is like, if I want to delete that AWS account itself,
You can delete it.
some I can delete it and I
If you
can
have
create one more,
multiple
right?
Gmail IDs, you can create.
Correct. You have Gmail ID
Okay, with
and
this.
have it may ask a new mobile number also. So while have
Okay.
you already created a AWS account? No?
Yeah, I have created. Yeah, I have created now.
Okay. So what did you use there? So you use your card details and
Yeah,
Gmail
yeah,
ID and phone number, right? Try to
yeah,
create another
yeah.
one by using the same details and check if you are
Okay.
able to create it. Hmm?
Oh, okay. And the other question is, since we are using the Linux consoles over here, if I want to change that one, means the consoles we can change, right? Control 0, Control 1, Control 2, like that. Instead of CUI, I can use GUI as well in Linux, right? So can I do these things for the Linux machines, what are we are creating, or just the CUI?
Definitely. See, I'm just using VI editor, right? Instead, you can use no Nano editor. There are so many editors. So
Yeah,
just
yeah.
if still use we are using VI editor, we can also do that. We can use
Okay,
it's kind of an editor we make use of it, and we can have a menu option also, right? That is also
yeah.
possible. Yeah,
Okay.
that is
Thanks,
possible.
Ryan.
Tangeer, I have one doubt. Could I ask you?
Yes.
After com after a completion of instance EC2 instant, how to mug up with that ECU instant with our in our laptop? We have to again create one virtual VPC. How we connect it with it? You are connecting through remote desktop app, or else in today's class you are using that putty.
Putty. Correct. See, for Linux-based machines, whatever see, with the help of AWS, whatever machines we are creating, these are all virtual machines. For Linux virtual machine, will make use of Putty or Mobaxtram or whatever the tools we have. For Linux one, we will use that, and for Windows, we'll use RDP, remote desktop protocol, that tool. And also, if you want, you can also use Mobaxtream tool to log into Windows also.
Okay. Today I will try. If it I am not getting, I will ask you.
Sure, Bhagavi. If not, just probably tomorrow morning we can send. Okay. Please see
Okay.
just because you have just today I've just created another machine with another key and all. Right. Please practice it. Just follow. I think that is there in our first or second video. Probably you can check there. Yeah. Any other thing, or are we good to close the call today?
I mean,
Generally, we are
regarding that,
generally,
am I audible?